If you've just picked up an HTC 10, we have a couple of accessories made by HTC that you might be interested in. It's Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And here's our quick review of the HTC Ice View Case and the HTC Hi-Res Earphones. Now, if you haven't seen our HTC 10 review just yet, you can find it here at the YouTube channel, or you can head on over to the written review at androidauthority.com. Make sure you check it out because we do think that the HTC 10 is a pretty beautiful phone. But pretty as it is, the HTC 10 can use a little bit of extra protection, and that's what the Ice View case will be able to do. It is a variation, or rather an evolution, from the original dot view cases that came with the HTC One M8 and M9. You just slip the phone into the main part of the phone, and if you have a particular color, it will still retain the original color of your phone. In this case, the dark gray is what we have, and it will provide some protection around the sides and for the backing as well. Yes, you are going to be covering up the beautiful metal construction that makes up the HTC 10, but at the very least you'll be able to protect your investment. As far as handling goes, it does add just a little bit of girth to this particular device, and it also is a little bit tough to use in just one hand, especially when you have to flip the front cover open. It's not too hard to flip it open, but then getting a nice ergonomic feel out of it requires you to probably just fold it all the way back or just tuck it under one of your fingers. We didn't find this to be too much of a problem, but since the HTC 10 is a slightly wider phone than you might be used to, adding a case on it might exacerbate the handling experience. Nonetheless, however, pretty much everything is exposed properly, so you can still use the phone even if the cover is closed. For example, the headphone jack up top and the USB Type-C port on the bottom are still properly exposed, as well as the phone speaker on the front, so when you take some calls, you will be able to hear them loud and clear through the case. Double tap on the screen when you have the phone propped up, and it will come up with a nice looking screen that we actually believe should be used as a lock screen for the original HTC 10 experience. Nonetheless, however, we do have the icon on the bottom that if you do have a notification, you can swipe left and right to see it, and then swipe up in order to see a little bit more information about that notification. And swiping down from here will dismiss it from the Ice View view. But the main addition in the Ice View case this time around is the ability to use the camera even when the cover is closed. Swiping down twice, just like you would with the original HTC 10 motion gestures, allows for the camera to appear, and it comes through the Ice View case actually quite well. Unfortunately, in broad daylight situations, the glare will be enough to make it so that you can't see the camera through this cover, but in most other situations, it's not all that bad. The main problem about using this camera view through the Ice View case, however, is that it does tend to blur the entire viewfinder. It's not a very clear view of the viewfinder, and thus, if you are in, let's say, the Pro mode, you may not necessarily know exactly what you are changing in terms of the settings on the viewfinder. For the most part, it's a pretty easy way of getting a shot off when you don't want to fiddle with the case, but you'd still have to open the case up if you want to take selfies, or pretty much any picture using the front-facing camera, which is a little bit annoying because it's kind of easy to drop the entire device when you're trying to fiddle with the cover that gets in the way. That said, however, the design of the Ice View case does allow for a very unique perspective on what is a smart cover for the HTC 10. We still think that the screens you see through the Ice View could make for a wonderful lock screen for the general HTC software, but that's something that we hope HTC will figure out a little bit later on. But now we can move into the audio experience with the HTC Hi-Res Audio Earphones. They do have the look of a high-end earbud or an in-ear monitor, and that starts with the silicone tips that sit very comfortably in the ear. There are other sizes that are included as well if you need it to fit a little bit better for a much better feel. And then a single button is found on the right earbud that also houses a microphone for taking calls. Now, taking calls with these headphones has been a pretty good experience. We've had no issues with anybody on either end of the call not being able to hear anybody clearly. But you just have to plug in the earphones, and that's when the fun really begins. The boom sound enhancements in the HTC 10 will ask you a few questions, and once you answer them, you'll have an audio profile and you're ready to go. Turning on pretty much any music makes for an enjoyable experience, and these headphones are leaps and bounds better than any bundled earphones you might have gotten with a number of other smartphones. It's really in the low end that this headphone does a great job. The mids are still pretty good, and the highs could use a little bit better clarity, but when you have these on and really blast that volume, it sounds like you're in a club. But it does so without really muddying the lower end, so it doesn't really sound distorted a whole lot. It just sounds like pretty clear bass, and especially when it's really loud, it really booms. Of course, if you have your own pair of headphones or earbuds or in-ear monitors that will take advantage of the boom sound enhancements, then by all means they will provide a great experience in the HTC 10. But it's great to see that a first-party accessory is being made to take advantage of what has been one of the best audio experiences on a smartphone we've had so far. The Htc Ice View Case for the HTC 10 is available for $49.99 on the HTC website right now. That is at least what it is listed for, but there is no price on the Hi-Res earphones just yet. And like we said before, it will not be bundled with the US version of the phone, and it also will not be bundled with unlocked versions of the HTC 10, which is a bit of a bummer, but if you are in the market for a better set of earphones, then you could go for the HTC made ones that do boom sound very well. So as always, thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review of the HTC's main accessories. Don't forget to check out the HTC 10 review if you haven't already here at the YouTube channel or at AndroidAuthority.com. You can stay tuned for even more coverage of the HTC 10 and all of the flagships of this year because we are your source for all things Android.